Hey, welcome back to the show. Today we're going to show you how to use the Tachihara Hope camera. This is a field 4x5 camera made in Japan. And as you can see, it's basically some sort of like rosewood and some brass or I don't know what the name, I know laton in Spanish, like hardware. This is a very comfortable setup to take out to the field, but I wanted to show you kind of how it works because I have it here at work at Kamerastore. They're not sponsoring, but let's say in collaboration with them. But I wanted to show you how it works. So as you can see on the bottom here, it has a little hook latch. So you gotta open that. And then to this, like open the camera. The bottom has two of the small threads, so no big thread tripod. And you have to open these. Now we can, if I look at what I'm doing, open the back. As you can see, it locks in place at 90 degrees. And you can see that on the rails here, you see the cutout. So that is for 90 degrees. So that should lock it at 90. Then the front has a bit of a weird system. What you have to do first is these on the inside should be pretty loose and they're self-tightening, which is kind of bad. When you try to fold it, it will tighten and over-tighten if not careful. But this is folded upon itself. So as you will see now, I hold the front, this comes out, and then I lift it up. And you can't see it probably on camera that well, but on the back of this rail, there's a little, let me see if I can put my finger there. On the back of this rail, there's a little cutout and there's a little bit of a divot here. So you have to put it up, lock it in there, and now you can slide it down. What that does is it creates this to be on the axis that's going up and down. So these are these two little knobs here that you have to tighten, and you can see the scale here. You can see it says 0 and then L. The L stands for Linhof. As you know, some of the Linhof lens boards are offset lower. So this means that if you put that to the piece that has the, let's see if I can figure this to go up again. You can see that there's like this little cutout, little hole here. That would be zeroed for the Linhof, and this is zeroed for normal. So let's just put them here. So I'm going to tighten that one and tighten this one. Like I said, these tighten a little bit when you fold, so you want to make sure they're very loose, but we'll get back to that later. So the front standard here, as you saw, now will also lock. And you can see that it also has a little bit of a cutout over here. So this, we're going to just push till it locks. And that theoretically has our camera set at 0, which is what I like to call parallel. Now, when we want to get the lens board on, it's a Linhof Technica lens board, a 99 by 96. I have a Ceranar S that's from Kamerastore. So thanks to them to loaning me this for the video, and new lens boards that we carry here at the store. So now I'm going to put this in. So let's put the lens board in, and I can't see because I'm trying to film it. And you slide this down. So let's see. Depending on the lens board, sometimes it's a little harder. But there we go. That is now locked in place, and we have our lens board ready to be shooting. This would be the minimum setup, I guess, a cable release and a dark cloth to start shooting. But let's go through the options and the movements. We just basically set up the camera to start shooting, and then we'll break it down again at the end of the video. So first of all, let's start with the front standard. So the front standard has these two little knobs here that they kind of both go sideways. So frontwards are unlocked. And this just lets you set the initial position of the lens. This is kind of like in the Chamonix, the main screw in the middle. This will be if you're using a wide angle, you'll be there. If you're using a long lens, you'll be here. You'll learn this from experience, depending on the lens. This is a 150. Probably won't be too far off where I am now, but I would say maybe put it here. So now we can lock them, and that is in place. And then we have our focus. We have our focus here. So this knob looses, and this one focuses. And you have to loosen it quite a bit, because if you leave it a little there, it'll self-tighten sometimes. So make sure that you kind of have it very loose. And this one now is your focus. As you can see, we can focus and focus and focus and focus and focus. And we're going to run out of camera. Focus and focus and focus and focus and focus. And then I'm there. And again, if we want to see what this would do, let me push this a little bit to the side. We can push this forward, and we could bring it back if we want. But then you might get your board camera bed on the photos. So now we're going to lock that back up. And let's bring the focus back in. So focus, focus, focus. This camera only has the rare. Oh, doesn't have only the rare, sorry. I haven't used it before, so bear with me if the explanations are a little like that. But I haven't seen any videos like this online, so I'm trying to provide some value. You also seem to have the back, but let's keep on with the front. So now what I'm going to do is lock this again, and now this focus won't move. And let's keep with the standard. So we've seen that this is the initial position. Then we have this one on the front, and it has a O and L, which you probably won't see on the main cam or in the B cam, but there you go. On the B cam, you can see it. So let's put that back at level. So that O and L is locked or open. And this is our, I call it not swing, but like whatever you want to call it, side swing. I don't know what the official name is. But as you can see, you can do that. It's limited by maybe a few degrees. I would say it's 20 degrees max. And it doesn't have sliding this way. So only this way. And then if we want to lock it again, there we go. So that's the movement on the base. Then we have movements on the top. Like you saw when we initially started, we can drop the front, okay, quite a lot. And then we can also make it go back quite a lot. So that is on that axis. But then this camera also has the option to go up and down. So shift up and shift down. And like I said, the zero position is somewhere there. I'm on the wrong finger. Somewhere there. And then also, if you really wanted, you can also do the contrary of setting it up. You can bring it all the way to the top, take it out of its rail, and now use those movements. Now, the front standard is basically loose. Like you saw before, we have this, which is the locking pin that goes inside the rail of the front, but now it's loose. So you can push it extra down. It won't let you go backwards because of the limitations of the design, but now it's back at the raise and fall, and we're just going to lock it somewhere there. So those are the movements on the front axis, which honestly for a field camera is plenty of movements. You won't be missing anything there. Then we're going to go towards the back. So in the back of the camera, we have the second focusing rack, which my guess is loosen from experience and focus. No, these are just loose. So these both are just loose focusing. You can actually use it for close-up wide angle. So what happens, not close-up wide angle, wide angle. What happens with wide angles is you are much better off by moving the back to the front than the front to the back, because sometimes wide angles are so extreme you'll see the bed in the shot. So this is a really good feature to have. I guess it's around 50 millimeters, something like it. And you do have a scale in the bed, like a centimeter scale, which you can try to use. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of that, but I don't usually use it. But you can just take tape measure if you're doing macros or things like that. So yeah, this is basically just giving you front and back. So we can set up the camera like that. We can set it up all the way at the back. Let's keep it all the way at the back for locking again. But these are these two knobs, and you have to lock both of them. Then we have the same kind of system of pulley. I don't really know what these are called. I call everything the same name because I'm Spanish and my lack of vocab is bad. But this, again, you pull towards you, not to, so these were towards the front. These are towards the back. And what that creates is, let me lock this. That creates this side swing. As you can see, it's pretty hefty. I'd say probably similar to the front, just because the standard is bigger, it's there. Once we're at zero, we can lock it. And to know zero, it's basically in the middle. Then we have the back. So we have this on the top. Like I said, it has a zeroing position. So this will let you go forward if you want, or it locks back in. You have to kind of like push them towards you to unlock them. You can also tilt backwards. As you can see, you have that tilt, which honestly, I think is quite nice considering a field camera. And then just go forward and back, and it locks on its own at 90 degrees. So that's the movements on the back. And then there's one more thing on the back, is how to change the orientation from landscape or portrait to landscape. Right now we're in portrait, so we have these locks on the top. Let's slide them and hold on to your ground glass. You don't want to drop this. They don't make these anymore. Well, official ones anymore. You tilt, you change it 90 degrees, and you're back at locking it over there. One thing to mention about the camera and the back is it is not a graph lock back, which means you can't use roll film holders or film holders that will rely on graph lock backs. You can only use either traditional film holders or the roll film holders that slide into the camera. And the spring on this thing is generous, but I wouldn't force it too much. So to put a film holder, it's simple. You just lift a little bit, put your film holder all the way in, and then make sure it goes all the way in. This one's never being used as far as I know, so I'm not going to do it to not scratch it for somebody else. But it's really nice. So it shoots 4x5. You can see here the ground glass has around 10mm square lines, and it does have some sort of Fresnel, which is good for focusing with wide angles. You can see here the name, Hope Tachihara. The focus is a little off, but I guess you can get it now there. But yeah, that's the movements on the back. The bellows are not interchangeable, so bear with the camera on its own. Honestly, for what it does, I think it's pretty amazing. And this is a pretty inexpensive camera. I wouldn't say it's cheap, but it is quite nice. The only thing I've noticed on these cameras, the ones I've seen in my past, is the Tachihara cameras don't age gracefully if they're very used. This one is pristine and everything locks and snaps into place. But if it's been well used, just make sure that it doesn't wiggle too much and the locking systems work well and there's no light leaks on the bellows. These bellows are pretty flexible and nice. They're rubberized in a way. But now let's go into folding the camera, because that's one of the things that actually brought me to making this video. Is I almost broke the camera trying to open it because it over tightened itself. So let's start by taking off the lens. One thing you want is the back to be flush back here. So that is flush. And now we want to have the front. The front I have all the way to the front. So basically not here, but all the way here. We lock it. Then we're going to take off our lens board. So let's push this open. If I can get the direction correctly, pull this. Like I said, Linhof Technica 99 by 96 millimeters. And now what we do is what I told you. Remember, these have to be very loose. And I'm going to loosen them a lot. And then when I loosen them, this is just wiggle, wiggle. What I do is you pull it all the way up, pull it out. So look at that. Pull it all the way up, pull it out. And you'll see, like I said, the locking pin here coming out. Now that's loose. Now we loosen this one here and we let it fold. And you'll see it just falls into its own place. There we go. And remember, these need to be loose because they will tighten themselves when you fold it. Now we go to the back, we loosen both knobs, we push the rails to us, and this goes down. And all you have to do is pull it all the way down. You have this lock here, which I'm going to get wrong because of the camera orientation. And that is locked. This camera now is folded, ready to take in the field and enjoy. Obviously, if you can, use a ground glass protector. I know that stores like Cat Labs carry them. They're like a folded piece of plexiglass that will cover your ground glass so you don't break it on the backpacking trip or anything like that on a flight. But this camera is really nice. I would recommend you tighten these just a little bit to keep it there nice and snug, but you don't have to worry about the inside where the front standard goes. But yeah, that is how you use the Tachihara Hope 4x5. I hope this was helpful. Like I said, first time using it myself, but I think we covered everything. Just be gentle, don't over tighten any of these knobs, and enjoy this wonderful camera. Honestly, I kind of love it. I think it's fungly. Rose and gold kind of looks nice, but also it's a beautiful camera itself. And I would highly recommend it for anybody trying to pick a 4x5 field camera, if you can find one in really good condition, like I mentioned before. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. See you in the next one. Bye.